Hello, everyone, and welcome to our OLLI Travel Insights webinar in partnership with Nanda Journeys. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We already have quite a few of you on. So as we wait for people to show up, feel free to jump into the chat. Let us know where you are, where you're from. We're so excited to be here. I'm joined by my co-host today, Nicola. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm excited to talk about all the knowledge we have to share about OLLI.
Oh, that's awesome. So happy to be here and welcome everybody to this this wonderful webinar. Thanks, Michael, for coordinating this for us. It's always, you and I love talking travel, so hopefully we'll have some words of wisdom to share and get some engagement from people and just talk travel. I'm just back from Ireland and England. I'm heading to India in a few days, so I'm definitely in travel mode and excited to share.
Yeah. I travel a lot, and your travel makes me jealous. So, like, it's one of those things that I always love where you're coming from and where you're going. But before we get to the presentation and sharing some of our insight, just a little bit of housekeeping. Everyone on our webinar today is muted, but that does not necessarily mean that doesn't mean we don't want your questions. We absolutely do. So if you do have an opportunity, we have our messaging there on the right. So just type your message. I typed in welcome. Where's everyone from? Let us know where you're from. Also, we also have the emojis at the bottom. If you love something, click on that love, click on that heart. Gloria's from South Beach. Welcome, Gloria. You can click on the party if you're really enjoying something. If I say something funny, I love it when people laugh, so click on the laugh as well. But feel free to react. Feel free to share your thoughts and ideas. We're so excited to have everyone here and talk to you a little bit about the 5 keys to growing your OLLI travel program. I'm sure all of you are at different stages of your OLLI travel program. Some of you probably have very well established. Scott's from Auburn, Lisa Pittsburgh. Welcome everyone. I'm sure some of you have long established travel programs, and some of you are just kind of getting going after the pandemic again. Wherever you are, we're hoping that you find some insight here within what we're able to share on our experience in working with OLLI travel programs or continuing education programs, and some of the things that you can use and take to make yours more effective. Ken from Auburn, Alabama. Welcome, Ken. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, we should probably tell them
So,
where we are right now, Michael. I'm in
yeah,
Aptos, California, which is near Santa Cruz. So hello from Aptos, California.
and I am I'm from Burrville, Rhode Island, but I like to say Providence, Rhode Island, because it's a lot easier. Not that Rhode Island's that big of a state. You can say anywhere in Rhode Island. You can pretty much put a pin on it. But yeah, so thank you for joining us. Again, as I mentioned, my name is Michael. We are the team, or part of the team at Nanda Journeys. I do the product development here at product development director at Nanda. I work with all of our OLLI programs to help them become more successful, to help them get more travelers, to do their promotion and that sort of thing. I've been in this OLLI travel world for about 15 years. I've worked with OLLI travel programs all over the country, helping them to be more effective, helping them with their promotion, doing presentations. So I'm so excited to share a lot of that insight. And Nicola, as the founder of Nanda, can you tell us a little bit about your history, Nicola?
Yeah, it's great to be here. I've been in travel since the ripe old age of 17. So my very first job was in Austria during my college break. I studied travel and tourism in England. I'm from the northwest of England, from Manchester. Just got back. And I've had a lifelong journey in travel. I started in the mode of traditional vacation beach travel and transitioned to the States, where I was introduced to and fell in love with educational travel. So I worked for a very large student travel company for a good number of years. And we also did professional development programs. So that immersion style, that people-to-people connection really flipped a switch for me. And I just fell in love with that style of travel. And that company sadly closed in 2015, but presented an opportunity for me to put on my big girl pants, as I tell everybody, and started Nanda Journeys to really live into the things that we are passionate about here at Nanda Journeys. And, Nanda means joy in Sanskrit. That was purposeful in our decision for the name of the company. And we're really about authenticity and creating opportunities for you to connect with people and for your members to connect with people as if they were living in the country for a short period of time. So welcome to this conversation. I could talk travel all day long. So cut short, Michael. You know how excited I can get. And to our guests that are joining us, this is interactive. Ask your questions. We just really want to love and talk about travel.
Yeah. Yeah, feel free. I can see that Barry's here from Long Beach. Douglas, you're coming in from Northern California, all over the country. And the last thing that the one thing I want to do mention, thank you so much for joining us, is that the last thing we want to do is make this a commercial for Nanda Journeys.
Mhm.
We really want this to be an opportunity to share experiences, share our knowledge, share our in-depth um, experiences that we've gained over 20 years of just being in this industry and helping OLLI programs be successful. So as we have this conversation, please feel free to drop your questions in. I'll be constantly watching that chat box. If you have a question about something we're bringing up or some of the things that we want to talk about, feel free. We have time for it, question and answer at the end, but we're happy to bring in any of your questions as we talk. So some of these 5 key I just saw something red appear at the top of the screen, so I was worried that we lost connection. So some of these 5 keys to success. So let's talk a little bit about. We're going to go through all 5, but just to talk about in terms of in general. Number 1 is education-based journeys and making education the center of your journeys. Number 2 is going off the beaten path. Number 3 is promotion, promotion, promotion. Number 4, slow and steady wins the race. Making sure that you're not going too fast to these countries, diving in a little bit deeper. And the 5th point we'll touch on is the fact that a bigger group is not always the better group or the better experience, kind of making sure that you're keeping those small, intimate groups growing and going. So, talking first and foremost about education based journeys, this is something that I'm very passionate about. Travel is the great educator, right? That's what they say. I've learned more traveling the world than I ever did through college or high school. I wouldn't tell my daughters that, but I can tell you that, as I'm sure many of you know, traveling is a big part of what we do, and educating is a big part of travel. And so, in terms of some of the things that, some of the tips, what are some of the things, Nicola, that you've seen that help with some of these OLLI programs and being successful?
I think the beautiful thing about collaborating on OLLI programs is the bespoke nature of really aligning them to their courses, to the mission of every OLLI group, I think, and all of their members has a different dynamic. So being able to incorporate educational elements, meeting with educators, meeting with community leaders, that's a really wonderful thing that we take for granted sometimes, right? So really getting you connected to students in a university or professors in a university or baking in a farmhouse in Ireland, for instance, with Tracy is one of our most favorite partners. So really understanding the culture, but aligning it with your mission as an OLLI group. What do your members want to learn? What do your members want to see? We can introduce political conversations. We can introduce conversations around geology or indigenous cultures. We're really, really supportive of indigenous regenerative travel at Nanda Journeys. So aligning that to your mission, and I think having a good mission statement is one of the things that we've learned, Michael, as we've worked together is if you establish a good mission statement, like what are your learning outcomes? What are your goals and objectives for the journey? It's not just about the destination. In fact, the destination is secondary. It's almost more important to understand what do you want people to feel, learn, and bring back from your journey. And I think that's a really important element.
Yeah, absolutely. And the idea of kind of taking that classroom experience and taking it on tour, whether it's geology class going to Iceland or a Spanish speaking class going to a Spanish speaking country, combining those two things not only makes your journeys more successful, but also makes your OLLI program more successful. It gives them the opportunity to not just learn about the Italian architecture through the Renaissance, but also get a chance to go to Italy and experience that architecture is a huge, huge benefit to offering travel through an OLLI program. One quick poll that I want to take from everybody listening today. One of the big things that I've found is always having a professor or sending someone from staff on tour. How many of the people, by clicking the smiley face emoji here, how many of you actually use a professor within your university to lead journeys? And by clicking that smiley face, just let us know um, how many of you actually do that, because we find when we do that, right, Nicola, there's a lot more to be gained on the itinerary. Tell us a little bit
Definitely.
about, I mean, what's your experience there? I've had a lot of success with it, so.
Yeah, I think that, and also it really helps us to be able to speak to our hosts that might be interested in that collective conversation, right? So I think we're in a world now where we truly understand that travel should be purposeful, it should be thoughtful, it should be meaningful. But also, what we really like to focus on is making sure it's a two-way street, right? So, exchanging of knowledge, sharing of ideas, having that conversation around culture. The core mission of traveling, well, for me in particular, is how can I better understand the world and allow our clients to better understand the world so that we have a more peaceful, collaborative, kind of group of people that are experiencing different cultures. So by having professor led or people that are really knowledgeable about a specific topic allows us to really then get you connected with somebody that can offer a different perspective from the country that you're visiting. We just had law groups in Ireland, and they learned about the peace process in Ireland, and we managed to get them into the four courts and to have a really good conversation around mediation. So again, goes back to that purpose, goes back to that learning outcomes, goes back to that core mission. If we can really identify that, we can create some really profound experiences that allow that learning to be natural, authentic, and everlasting, right? That's the purpose of the OLLI programs, is lifelong learners, making those connections where your journey should continue. That's why we're not called Nanda trips, Nanda Journeys. Traveling should always be a journey and a continuum of learning and a continuum of friendships, right? So hopefully we are creating opportunities for people to connect in a way that they remain connected because they're passionate about the same things. They have the same interests, they have the same desires, they have the same, goals in life. And I think that's what makes the travel experience more profound, if it's really coalesced around a purpose and a passion.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of, professors or sending staff on tour, a few people had clicked it, and maybe three out of the many people that are here now had mentioned that they do send staff or send a professor on tour or on the journey, and that's a very important aspect. But finding that professor is also a key thing. If you're just kind of starting out and building your travel program, professor may not want to go because do they have to pay to join? What does that look like in terms of sending a staff member or sending someone on the journey to kind of be that quote unquote host who, like, after an experience at a museum, might be able to jump on the microphone on the bus or on the mini coach to provide additional insight. Is there a cost to send that person on the journey at all, or no?
Yeah, it varies, and every program is different. So again, talk to your travel coordinator, your travel provider that you're collaborating with around, will they travel for free? A lot of ours elect to travel for free, and that's how we build their program. So they travel complimentary, including their flights and all of their ground arrangements, and always joined by somebody that is a local expert in country, right? So you don't have that responsibility of doing the logistics and thinking about the restaurant and thinking about where's next. Your host that's coming from your OLLI university or your OLLI program should entirely be focused on learning outcomes, about augmenting all of the things that they're seeing and learning, and everything else should be taken care of in country by your travel provider, by your travel specialist. Traveling for free is a great benefit, and having additional staff, depending on the size of the group as well, I think is something that's a really good conversation to have with your travel coordinator. Again, back to that mission. What are you hoping to achieve? What are you hoping for your outcomes? All of that can be achieved by identifying that really early in the planning process. But taking a professor or one of your OLLI group, key to the success of the program.
Absolutely, and this idea of building it around education, working with a bespoke tour operator also helps with the ability to
Mhm.
say, yes, I want to send someone for free, or or I want to generate revenue for our program, so that way we can do other programs for through Ollie. I mean,
Mhm.
every goal for an Ollie program is different, and so working with a bespoke operator that can kind of better understand your needs is definitely a big part of having a successful Ollie program. If you're working with someone who just does the same itinerary, say St. Petersburg. Hi, Judith. Well, thank you for joining us. But working with a tour operator that might have just regular itineraries that are brochured that work in many multiple different group settings. Working with a bespoke operator that can build a program specifically for your needs and makes your experience more successful. that's definitely another step. But again, it's the itinerary, it's the journey and who you're with, but also where you go. Another growing trend that I'm seeing, I mean, you talk to a lot of travel groups, I talk to a lot of travel groups that we're both seeing kind of in this industry, is the need and the desire to go off the beaten path. So tell me a little bit about like this trend that you're seeing with the groups that you're working with, and then explain a little bit about why are there hearts on the screen and what does that necessarily mean?
Love the hearts. Yeah, I'm in a very blessed and fortunate position to have been to over 50 countries and continuing to add to that every year. But there are some that just sit with me personally. They touch my heart, right? And I think when I really reflect on what does that mean, it's the people, right? It's the people, and I've fallen in love with India. I'm heading there on Thursday. Cannot wait to get back. It's just the culture and just the colors and the vibrancy and the opportunity to learn, because it's so beyond my norm, what I grew up with, where I live now. There's a constant opportunity to learn new things. And then a surprise for me recently was Guatemala. Totally not on my radar, not even remotely been thinking about it. But it came to me through an opportunity. I was at a conference. I met a lady from England. She lives in Guatemala. And she said, "Why do you not go to Guatemala?" I'm like, "I don't know why I don't go to Guatemala. Tell me more." So she opened my eyes to Guatemala and all of the things that it represents. Lonely Planet call it the closest thing to Eden on Earth. Lake Tikal. So we've taken several journeys down there. I've taken personal journeys. I've taken professional journeys with our groups. And again, the people, they are fun. They're welcoming. They want to learn their Spanish, learn their English. They want you to practice your Spanish. The food, the landscapes. It's just a spectacular country. And then Colombia, I really feel, this is intuition now. We'll come back in 5 years and you can test me on this one. I tend to have intuition around trends, and I feel that Colombia is going to be that next hotspot 5 years from now. Everybody will have wanted to check that one off their list. And we have several journeys traveling to Colombia this year where it has such diversity. It has the beaches, the beautiful white sand beaches, but it has coffee plantations. It has, the alpine kind of features, and it just has so much diversity. And it also exports 70% of the world's emeralds. So, there is that little thing about it too. So learning and seeing new things. And I know Morocco is on there because you have a heart on there, Michael. So I want to hear about why Morocco is heartfelt for you.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, I stole your idea from your heart destinations. Morocco was one of those that just kind of floored me when I was there. Just kind of like Guatemala for you, which is now, I know we've been working together now for about 2 years, although we both have decades experience in this industry. 2 years we've been working together, and you speak very highly about Guatemala. So that's crept up on my bucket list. Very high. I haven't been everywhere, but it's on my list, as they say. But Morocco is just another one of those destinations that when I talk to groups, even it's a fast growing, popular destination that's still off the beaten path, right? The travelers that have traveled a bit, they love their Italies, they love the three eyes, the Italy, the Irelands, the Icelands of the world, but they're looking to find new destinations. I love Guatemala first and foremost, time zone wise. You're not dealing with a lot of jet lag. Morocco, anything east, you're definitely dealing with that jet lag. Guatemala, Colombia. Before anybody gives me a hard time, I realize that those pins are not in the geographic location. I realize that. I was just doing it for the design of the slide. So please don't don't come at me in the chat because those pins are wrong. But no, so talking about those destinations absolutely takes a little bit of time to get outside of your comfort zone, right? Some of the OLLI programs on here might be able to say, those look great, but my travelers aren't necessarily interested in going to those destinations because they're new to travel. So somewhere like Iceland, you don't necessarily have to go to off the beaten path destinations to necessarily get off the beaten path. So I know we work with an OLLI program currently in terms of in helping them to go to Iceland. We're actually quoting another OLLI. We're working with an OLLI program in 2025 to Iceland. Tell us a little bit about this idea of getting off the beaten path when you go to a destination that might be one of the more popular destinations in the world.
Yeah, Iceland is one of those where people think about, the South Shore or, the Ring Road and there's a lot of different ways to see any country. I was in Iceland last September, and one thing I realized is Iceland is a much bigger country than you think. And, to get from one place to another, it does take a lot of time. So being very precise about your planning is really important for Iceland. So having a good conversation around the amount of time that you're going to spend traveling between locations and really trying to avoid those one night stays if at all possible. But things that we're doing is meeting with representatives from a company called Ocean Cluster. They're doing amazing things like with fish skin. So obviously fishing is a huge industry in Iceland, one of their predominant industries, and they're trying to figure out how they can have a zero waste from all of their fish products. So they're actually using fish skin to treat burns and various other things. So that educational element and really getting involved with their culture. Hot springs, of course, yep, it's a thermal country. All of their heating is thermal energy. So meeting with people in the energy space, learning about their regenerative wind power, their hydropower, their thermal power, and having conversations with them, making bread in the hot springs, right? So getting to understand their historical cultures. It's a very, very rural destination. So meeting with a goat farmer. There's actually a goat farmer that rescued a specific goat. Forgive me, I don't remember the breed specifically, but this particular goat was on the verge of extinction. And they have, really taken that and really understanding regenerative farming and historical farming and staying close to the historical traditions of Iceland. So I think that's how we do Iceland a little bit differently. Also, singing is a really big thing in Iceland. I learned that they did a ton of musical recordings for a lot of the Disney programs during COVID. So those little nuggets and trying to find those little things that might be interesting to musicians or to people in agriculture or geology. Again, mission.
Right.
What is your mission?
Right.
There's a million and one things you can do. But getting off the beaten path in the tried and true countries it's easier than you think, right? Again, so long as you really hone in on what do you want to learn, what cultures do you want to really understand, and then building your connections and your people. People love to talk about things they're passionate about. So if we know what
Yeah.
you're passionate about, it's really easy to find somebody who wants to have that across the table conversation with you.
Absolutely, yeah, and I mean, in regards to kind of taking it back to the previous slide, the idea of how do you bring education, you could do classes about some of the things that you're
Really?
speaking to. One of
Mm-hmm.
the things that kind of, surprised me, maybe it shouldn't have surprised me, but surprised me was a lot of the Moroccans speak French. So when you're there, a lot of people are speaking French. You could do a whole class on,
Mm-hmm.
how they used to be a French territory and the French influence and the Moroccan culture and all of that, and then actually going there and experiencing it. Like the idea of I envy a lot of the OLLI programs that do travel because they have that ability to bring that
Yeah.
education to life through a classroom setting that they don't necessarily have with many of the other tour operator or the affinity groups that we work with. So the idea of being able to take some of the things that we're talking about and build them into a classroom setting, provide insight before they get there is a huge benefit that I feel that some OLLI programs do take advantage of it, but many necessarily don't in terms of building classroom experiences around that. So yeah, so our third key to success, and I think the key to any success of anything in terms of being successful in terms of selling, is promotion, promotion, promotion. And I say this a lot. I think I've been saying this for the last 15 years. That first sentence is a good journey with great promotion will always be more successful than a great journey with good promotion. And basically, nothing beats a great journey with great promotion. And so what that really means is if you have a great trip and you're not promoting it correctly, you're never going to have as much success if you have a good trip and you have a great partner with you promoting. And so many tour operators out there say that they help you with promotion. Many tour operators provide you a flyer, but you need more tools than that to be successful. I think that's what we've both learned in our experience in the industry. What are some of the tools that we found here at Nanda Journeys that can kind of help all the groups to be more successful that many tour
Yeah.
operators or might not do?
I think one of the things that we've, as a small independent bespoke operator, I think you live into your emotions a little bit more as a travel provider and as a business. We're family focused, right? We think of everybody as family here. So we approach the conversation from that concept of, okay, if I was talking to a family member about this, how would that go? And you and I have talked a lot about people like to read, listen, engage with. So not everybody consumes information the same way. I know I don't read very well. A flyer is not my preferred way of taking in information. I like to watch something. I want to see it unfold in front of me. So with that in mind, we're always thinking about how can we touch those different senses with the same message, but in a different medium. So flyers are great and they're easy to put in an email or on your website, but custom web pages I think are really, really important. And again, I know I sound like a broken record, but again, back to that mission. What is the mission of your program? And building in words, keywords, and key outcomes into that customized web page so that it resonates with people. So if they're taking a specific class with you and you're building this OLLI adventure around a specific topic, those topic keywords should be, woven through your marketing materials and included, and the custom web pages should reflect that. So the buzzwords that everybody's already excited about because they're already keen on learning, they're automatically there, and they know that they don't even have to think about what am I going to learn on this journey. It's already in complete alignment with what we've been talking about with our OLLI members and in our OLLI classes. So I think customization is key. Different mediums is key. And I think we have a couple of others to highlight here that I think the next ones are your favorites, Michael, I think, the next couple.
Yeah. And just to touch quickly on that custom web page again, allowing travelers to be able to book their travel through that web page as well. So you're not chasing down reservation forms, because I've been there where OLLI groups say that their travelers have reservation forms. Now, granted, some OLLI programs are very comfortable with working with reservation forms, and obviously most tour operators are able to do that as well. But providing them the ability to book online, more and more travelers are getting that comfort level of saying, I'm willing to put my reservation online. It saves you time, effort, and energy. It also allows you to be a little bit more effective, more efficient as well.
And I think the customization there is very key as well, because we customize the intake on the web pages based around the OLLI groups. So it's not a standard set of questions. If you want to add a couple of specific OLLI questions, like are you registered for this particular program, or it can be tailored. Again, customization I think is key, and making it so user friendly, having somebody that's there to help doesn't seem overwhelming. That transition from paper to electronic enrollment can be daunting, but having somebody to help you through that is important as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of promotion, again, one of the things that we're finding is really resonating, maybe because I don't necessarily think of because of TikTok, but this idea of video, promotion, everybody's on TikTok or Instagram Reels or YouTube or wherever it is. This idea of video, there's that saying, content is king. The ability to have some form of video to promote your itinerary is also a very important aspect of a way to promote your trip. So that way, those, to your point of which medium people like to view best, some people just have 7 to 12 minutes and they want to watch a video. And so Nanda Journeys provides videos, but also having that video content. And then also for those OLLI groups that, do their presentation nights. I've been doing them for 15 years. And personally, again, this isn't something that everybody can say, but personally, I feel that an information night is one of the most important things that you can do to promote a trip. And for those information nights, are you the ones hosting them, or can you rely on your travel partner to host them? When you can rely on your travel partner, they typically know more about the itinerary, about the destination. They can get more excitement, engagement out of your travelers. So using a travel company or partner that actually can help you to host those travel nights is essential, I feel, to success. And I'm sure you've seen it as well in your experience too, Nicola.
For sure. I mean, they allow for people to ask questions, to understand. I think the most important thing about a travel program too is to make sure that it resonates with you, right? Is this the right travel program for me? Again, if it's been designed right around the right core themes, around the core passions, it's naturally going to resonate. So that conversation, I would say promotion, yes, but really it's not promotion, because if you already have something that you know somebody wants, right? Because
Right.
you've created it so well around something that you know is going to resonate with your members. It's just a case of providing them with all the tools and the information to make a decision. Is it the right time? Is it the right length? Is it the right price? And those things are easily done through a virtual travel night, and they're fun, right? I mean, you're getting people excited that your journey has
Yeah.
started. The journey
Yeah.
doesn't start when you board that plane. The journey starts when you're considering, I really want to go to Antarctica, which actually that's my next conversation today is Antarctica. So that's where it starts. That's where the excitement generates. And that's where you're building camaraderie with people that want to go as well. It's like, oh, are you going to go? I want to go. So you already have that. People are connected already. And virtual
Right.
travel nights are a really good kind of foundational pillar of getting people excited, I think.
Absolutely, and it gives you a good list of people that are very, very interested, right? So if you think, let's say on a travel group, you need at least 20 people to sign up to be successful or for the trip to go, and you're sitting there at 6 travelers signed up, and you host a travel webinar night or a travel night, and you have 30 people on the webinar, that gives you a list of people that you know are excited and interested in your itinerary for you to reach out to as that OLLI travel program director to get them more information and to get them signed up. So it also helps you with your promotion both during that travel night and people getting excited and are you going? I'm going. I can't wait to go. But it also gives you that list of these are the people that are the most interested and excited about attending with us. And I just want to take one quick moment before we move on to the next key. Please know if you have any questions. Again, some of you have joined late. Feel free to drop them in that question Q&A or just drop them in the chat. We're happy to answer any questions along the way. Not saying that you do have questions, but if you do, please feel free to drop them off. I realize that you probably do. We're not doing that good of a job where you don't have any questions and we're answering all your questions. So please feel free to drop any
But
questions.
I just think it's a continuum as well. So if you have thoughts or if we've sparked something,
Right.
learning, if you want to share something, really the core mission around this is helping everybody to be successful with their travel programs. So if you have a little gem you want to share with us, you've probably been doing these programs for a long time too. So drop us your learnings in the chat, because we're always here to keep learning, keep sharing,
Absolutely.
and keep iterating what we're doing, and hopefully well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the best person to learn from is another OLLI director. So if you have tips or tricks or ideas around some of the topics or themes that we're sharing, please feel free to drop it in the chat. I'd love to hear more as well. Um, the next topic or the next key to success, and something that you and I feel very strongly about, is slow and steady wins the race. To use a term from Tortoise in the Hare. Um, you know, I've been making a lot of jokes. Nobody's clicking on the laughing button. I just clicked on it. So, uh, so one of the fastest growing trends in travel, and I'm sure a lot of the OLLI directors, travel directors here have heard it, is the fact that fastest going to see as many cities as possible, going to as many places as possible is not necessarily. There we go. Somebody's clicking on the laugh button. That was not me that time, I promise. um, is they want to take more time in every city. They want to engage in the culture and build and experience the culture more. And I find I'll look at an itinerary. And one of the things that I say, and you've heard this a million times, is I'll look at an itinerary, and if I see a lot of one night stays, I'll essentially call that a pajama tour, which
Mhm.
basically means you might as well just stay in your pajamas the whole time because you're just going to be going from hotel to hotel and packing back up. And there was a time and a place for that back when travel you maybe
There's a
got to Europe
name.
once
Mhm.
every 5 years. You wanted to see as much as you wanted, but with travel becoming more and more accessible, the idea of engulfing or filling yourself with the culture and the people and meeting as much as you can, that's very important. So fewer one night stays, fewer cities, more time in each city. That's a big part of travel now, and I know it's something that
Yeah.
you when you build itineraries, you're building the itineraries or helping to build the itineraries that we have. You do that a lot, correct?
Yeah, we've been passionate about this for a long time. I think I mentioned I really fell in love with educational experiences, and on our student travel programs that we used to do, we had homestays and we had immersion programs that allowed us to really connect with the community, and being really passionate about your impact and your footprint. So I know we talk a lot about, our carbon footprint, and we're flying, so we feel guilty about flying to a destination. you can offset that in so many other ways. And one of the ways that I would encourage you to talk to your travel coordinator, your travel provider about is, how am I impacting the local community that I'm visiting? And are we doing it in a responsible and meaningful way? And ways that we try and be as respectful as possible is using independent hotels, people that are being employed locally by a locally owned hotel. We personally try to avoid chains because those profits go back to, a lot of hotels are owned in the US and Spain and France, and the money doesn't necessarily get plowed back into the local community. So we're trying to be really cognizant of where the dollars get spent. And we try and go as micro as possible with that. And wherever we are, whether it be a small village or a small town, is spending our money there locally with artisans, with nonprofits. My journey to India, I can talk about that because it's kind of right around the corner, is we've actually worked with a local nonprofit here in the States that's a veteran service dog provider, and it's been a bit of a fundraiser. But we're also visiting a local school in rural Rajasthan, and education is key, right? We're talking about OLLI programs here. We're talking about education. How can we help foster education and keep others in less supported communities engaged in education? So in India, the dropout rate in rural Rajasthan is really high, especially for girls. So the local partner we work with has been very conscientious over the years about working with this village to get them toilets installed, facilities for the girls, private restrooms for the girls. And we fundraised over $2,000 to buy feminine hygiene products for this school for a whole year. So again, it doesn't necessarily resonate with every journey, but it could be that your OLLI members are really passionate about helping a specific nonprofit. That can be done through experiences in your itinerary. It doesn't necessarily have to be dollar related. You can go and support them with education. You could go and understand a little bit more about them, magnify their message. Uganda, we have a group going, and they have taken it upon themselves, two of our travelers, to help the LGBTQ community there. Uganda just passed some of the most, horrendous anti-LGBTQ legislation. So there's lots of different ways that you can help support your foundational morals, but that of the group as a whole too. So really connect with the people, eat in the local restaurant, don't eat in the chain restaurants, get off the beaten path and engage with the locals. Your experience will be more profound the more local an experience that you have. And you can leave in the comfort of knowing that not only have you had a great experience, but you've given back in more ways than you originally envisioned. And one of the ways that I think is really profound is protecting cultural heritage, right? It's not necessarily cool now to farm in rural India. There's no reason to. But if that farming could also be a tourism project where it could really provide a sustaining income for you, people might stay in that area and not seek to leave. So you're protecting the cultural heritage and providing, workforce opportunities. You're providing education. So that's just some of the ways we get passionate. I'm going to stop now because I know I'm on one of my roles. But yeah, really connecting with the local culture is really, really a great way of going slow and steady and having a more profound transformative experience on your journey.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I think one of the things is this slow and steady wins the race, but I think this could easily be cultural immersion and impact.
Mm-hmm.
I think when we talk about sustainability, the idea of environmental sustainability can be a little bit of a polarizing topic for some people.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's a very it's hard to say this itinerary is very economically or environmentally sustainable. But one of the terms in terms of sustainability that a lot of what you're talking about impacts is the idea of economic sustainability, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we
Yeah.
encourage our anybody on this webinar and anybody we talk to talk to your travel providers about how are you supporting the local economy, right? How is travel and tourism supporting everyone within a destination
Yeah.
as opposed to just those huge corporations that, in some instances just suck the money out and use the destination to make more money. working with the right tour operator and the right travel partner that's committed to supporting the local economy and supporting the locals and working with small businesses, taking you to local restaurants, staying in local hotels. Those are all very important aspects, supporting nonprofits, very important aspects of building an itinerary that also makes the destination that you visit a better place to visit because it supports the locals to have a living wage and to do
Mhm.
the things that are necessary for them to be successful. So that's a
Yeah,
very, very important aspect of the slow and steady. Take your time, meet with the locals, help the locals, support the locals is a big part of what OLLI programs and successful travel programs in general are all about.
for sure.
Um, and then our last point is bigger is not always better. This is another fast growing trend. And I think
Mhm.
part of this, it was kind of a growing trend pre pandemic, but after the pandemic, it's definitely a faster growing trend. And this idea of large groups going all over the world, 40 plus people on a motor coach, that trend, there was a time and a place for that as well, but that trend is slowly starting to go away. And travelers are no longer looking for 30 plus travelers on an itinerary. If you can keep it under 25, in some instances even under 20 passengers, like many of the journeys that Nanda does, it definitely helps that cultural immersion, helps you to feel more closely connected to the cultures. I myself have felt it on small group itineraries. How have you kind of felt that difference when traveling on small group tours, Nanda,
Yeah, I
and
think
going?
it provides an opportunity for people to really connect at a really intimate level as well. And it can get you into communities in a way that, we have a lot of people where they're potentially going into somebody's kitchen for a cooking class, for instance. We can't take 50 people into somebody's home for a cooking
Right.
class. So it allows you to really change the dynamic in terms of the type of location you're going to be in to experience something that's really authentic. Everybody gets along, they know each other. You don't have the challenges of being late. There's a lot more soft benefits to having a smaller group. It's easier to manage. People are absorbing the information at the same level, right? So even though, of course, with larger groups, you can provide headsets and you can provide additional tools and resources, if you all can collectively be together and really absorb the information that's being shared with you collectively and allow for questions and answers. So the smaller group allows for that, whereas in a larger group, time just doesn't allow for that to be, as interactive. And is there a minimum needed for a tour? Barry is asking. And again, that depends because everything is created unique here at Nanda Journeys. We just want to establish how many people do you think you might want on this journey? And we can create that opportunity for you around that. So I would say a minimum group size is 8. That would be the minimum, because then it would be really difficult to justify the tour leader component and the costs that's associated with that and so on and so forth. But
Hmm.
no is the answer, but yes. Just for good experience, right? Because we are talking about group travel here.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I think small definitely is a trend we are seeing. It's something we've supported from our conception here at Nanda Journeys. And people get along, they travel together again. There's no disruption in terms of different personalities not getting on. And that's just a fact of life, right? If you get 50 people in one place, the challenges might present differently because we're all human beings with different nature and so on and so forth. So it creates this repeat cycle of the smaller groups are like, I want to come back with you. I want to come back with you. I want to come back with you. So you're creating little mini travel buddy groups, I think, is another soft benefit to that.
Yeah.
But the greater benefit being we can get you into more local places and a more authentic experience.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been in the industry for 15 years, right? And I didn't go on my first small group. And I'd love to hear from the audience here.
Mhm.
Have you been on a small group itinerary before? If you haven't, because I can tell you, up until about 5 years ago, every itinerary I've been on is with one of the major large group tour operators. And it wasn't until I went on this small group of maybe 15 people that we had that I was able to actually experience the culture more intimately, right? You're not disrupting the
Mhm.
community. You're not showing up in this big motor coach and the market all of a sudden all the heads turn and all these, tourists come off the bus ready, and they think their pockets are full of money, and it changes the entire dynamic of the community. When you get off of a small mini coach, as I like to say, or a small mini, small, still high end coach, but it's smaller, you're not
Mhm.
disrupting the community. People aren't necessarily turning their heads. You become a part of that culture, which I really loved about it. And also, to that point of you creating small travel buddies, I've been on those large itineraries where you have 50 people on a trip. You don't know everybody's name by the end of the tour, right? You could be there for 10 days and you still don't know everyone. With these smaller itineraries, 12, 15 people, 20 people, you know everyone's name after the third day. You're all friends. You're all building a community. It's a really, really cool way. And a lot of the travelers that I see, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for those more authentic experiences. They want to do cooking classes, not cooking lessons where they're sitting in a crowd watching somebody cook. They want to get their hands dirty. And that's definitely something that, is a big part of what travel is. You want to experience the culture. You don't just want to watch the culture. You want to be a tourist. You don't want to be a tourist. You want to be a traveler, right?
Yeah,
You want to see it and experience it. You don't want to just, have the visor on and the flag and all that. You think of your normal tourists. You want to be able to experience. You want to be a journeyer, not a tourist.
for sure.
So these small groups definitely help with that. Um, I don't know if anybody has in our audience been on a small group tour, but if you have, click on that heart. I think it's a great opportunity for us to show how many of you have actually experienced it. Nicola's done it. It's definitely it changed the way that I want to travel moving forward. Um, from 5 years, I haven't traveled on a large group since. So with that being said, those are the 5 keys, but we do have a bonus and maybe most important key is finding the right travel partner. And maybe I should have put travel there as well. A few people's hitting that heart saying that they've traveled on small groups. Or they just love the fact that they found the right travel partner. But finding
Mhm.
that right partner makes all the difference. Someone who understands your needs, someone who understands the world you live in, right? A company that's very successful in what's a good example? A company that's very successful in working with senior centers traveling the world might not understand what that continuing education world is all about, and so they might not know exactly what you need. So you need a travel partner that's committed to your success, understands your world, and wants to help. Those are some of the greatest advantages. I've seen it when I've worked with OLLI programs that have kind of felt, we understand their world. Have you felt that as well, Nicola? I mean, that's an important part of
Yeah, and
creating a strong travel team.
well, it brings us great joy as well because there is an awful lot of enjoyment in curating something that is different every time, right? So if we're repeating an itinerary, we can get a little complacent and we just don't get quite as excited. But if we're infusing an educational element into every itinerary, which is what we do and what we love, then we know that the outcome and the enjoyment of the guests is just going to be, off the charts because we know we're already meeting them where they expect to be. So definitely finding a travel partner who can customize around, your personality of your group. That's important. What is the personality of your group? What is the mobility of your group? What is the expectation in terms of learning and immersion of your group? And every OLLI group is going to be different. Everybody's, needs are different. Having a partner that will blend to those needs for you. So our itineraries, we don't have a brochure for that very reason that we don't want to predispose you with an idea and then not really optimize your experience, right? So if we give you something, if I give you a cookie that's already decorated, it's always going to look the way I decorated it. If I give you all the tools to decorate your own cookie, everybody's cookie is going to look different. So I think that's what's critical is having somebody that's going to work with you to meet you with your needs and what you want to do.
Yeah. And Barry had mentioned in regards to overseas adventure travel with groups of
Yeah.
12 to 16, they're a very well respected tour operator in the industry, and 12 to 16 people is kind of that sweet spot of how many
Mhm.
travelers you want on an itinerary. So I'm glad you've gotten a chance to experience small group travel. And again, one of the best ways to see the world. Scott had asked, customized groups that combines hiking and cultural experiences. Have we ever done something like that before, Nicola?
Yeah, absolutely. We are very fortunate to have trusted travel partners all over the world. And this is, again, I've been in this industry since I was 17, and I cared very deeply about longevity in relationships. So we don't engage a partner unless we have had at least a couple of years to get to know each other, understand that they understand our core moral fiber, they understand what's passionate for us. We typically use smaller travel providers in our global destinations because they can help us with that unique content that we chatted about, and they really care about their local community, and they're probably connected to some of the nonprofits and understand the unique needs of each individual community. So yes, absolutely. Cultural experiences, hiking, biking, adrenaline adventure. We've even done an end of life group, right? So funeral directors. So long as we again identify the core mission and the core vision and the outcomes, we have partners all over the world that can get us those meetings and those interactions. And to Barry's question, who are some of the travel partners that we use? Nanda Journeys is a tour operator. So we contract all of our services with individual travel providers in the destination country, people we've had relationships with for many, many years. So we build the programs collaboratively with our OLLI directors and with our other association members, universities, associations, special interest groups. So we do all of that product development on your behalf. So we're not using any other tour operators in the United States. We are the tour operator and we are that provider. Does that help, Barry? Does that answer your question? I want to make sure I've answered that completely.
And also to kind of extend that question to everyone in the audience, I would love to hear who everyone else uses for their travel programs to make their travel program successful. I'd be interested, intrigued to kind of see who everyone uses as well. So that's our last finding that right travel partner. I can't stress it enough. I mean, even Nanda Journeys as a tour operator, finding those right partners that are reliable and understand the world that we live in, and can customize to almost anything. I've had the pleasure of working with Nicola on her team for the last 2 years. I've never found an itinerary or an itinerary quest that she couldn't get done, or a customized itinerary that she couldn't build. And it's really kind of blown my mind in some instances. So it's always been a very amazing experience when I come to her with a request from a group to say, can we do this? And she always says, absolutely. Let me just give me a few days and I'll put it together. Give me a week or so. So I can tell you that whatever you want to build something around, finding the right travel partner like Nanda Journeys. So I'll give you, now that we're at the end here, I'll give you 5 minutes or so to let us talk a little bit about the Nanda Way, because I love the Nanda Way. It's not something that the marketing team created. Tell us a little bit about like what the Nanda Way is and kind of how that, talks about all the things we've been talking about during this presentation.
Yeah, I really, at first when I started talking about the Nanda Way, I felt like my ego was being, stroked a little bit, but now I feel a lot more comfortable with it because this ultimately was delivered to us by our leaders, by our in-country guides, by the hosts that are hosting our clients and our groups. And it just kept coming back to us. People kept saying, I love the Nanda Way. And I'm like, oh, you do? Well, we kind of love the Nanda Way because that's just what we do. But when we sat and reflected on it, we really are very, very passionate and proud of the Nanda Way. And the Nanda Way for us is authentic in nature, whether it's a conversation that we're having now, it's transparent, honest, being really authentic about who we are, what we do, what we don't do as well is really important. And that we honor the cultural heritage of our beautiful world, and that we're trying to do it in a responsible way, but we're constantly evolving that, right? And learning. We're not getting it right all the time. So I think we constantly, to speak to the OLLI program, right? Lifelong learners. A good example of that, again, would be India, where in the Agra fort, we used to take the elephant ride up to the fort. And we don't do that anymore because, there are concerns about the care for the animals and are they being exploited? And we just said, we're not going to do that anymore. So we're constantly evolving and learning how we can do things better, depending on where we are. We love bespoke. We love people, if that's not obvious now, shame on me, but we love connecting you to people that are passionate about engaging with you as a person coming from another country and getting you into communities that maybe they haven't seen somebody from the United States before. And it's a very, very, very profound learning experience. So I thank all of our past clients for telling us the Nanda ways, what they love, because it's what we love here.
I think that's why we found such a great fit with what Nanda does and what OLLI groups, look for. And that's kind of why we wanted to host this webinar, was to kind of say we have all this experience, all this knowledge. Let's share it with these group leaders who need this knowledge to become successful. And we do this all day, every day. And so being able to find those synergies was something, almost a light bulb moment for us to say, let's see if there's an opportunity for us to share this knowledge, and in turn maybe find a way to help some of these OLLI group leaders as well. So in terms of the keys to success, in summary, number one is education-based journeys, making sure that your itineraries are based around education, incorporating some of your classroom experiences into the journeys that you're offering, incorporating some of the professors in your universities into the journeys that you're offering. All of those things tie the university back to the journey, which ties it back to OLLI, which ties it back to your mission, which is continuing education. So a big part of what you do, going off the beaten path, not just in terms of destination, but when you're in a popular destination, find opportunities, work with your tour operators, whether they can be bespoke or not. Maybe there's opportunities to customize, find itineraries, or find destinations that are off the beaten path. Promotion, promotion, promotion. A great journey with poor promotion will never be as successful as a good journey with great promotion. And nothing beats a great journey with great promotion. So find those right tools, find the partners that you have or the partners that you use to provide you those tools to be successful. It's not just about the tour operator is not just about making the journey successful. It's also about making you, the group leader, successful as well. Slow and steady wins the race. This is a growing trend, making sure you're not trying to see everything in one trip. One night stays are oftentimes something looked back on when you look at surveys as some of the lower points in an itinerary. Trying to limit those one night stays, knowing that one night stays aren't necessarily able to be eliminated all the time, but trying to eliminate them where you can is very important, because you don't need to see everything. Opportunities to delve deeper into a culture is more important. And bigger is not always better. It's a great way. Small groups allow you to delve into that culture even more. And keeping those groups small allows for more intimate experience with your travelers, with the culture, with the people you meet, and the experiences that you have. And the bonus, which isn't here, is finding the right partners. Hopefully, we've helped you this afternoon find those right partners. Think about the partners you currently work with and seeing ways that you might be able to work with them more effectively, finding the right tools to be more successful. But we'll take a little bit of time for questions. If you have any questions, please put them into the chat. I also want to let you know, before we get to any questions, that I didn't mention this before, but this has been recorded. So if you did have to step away, or if you have a colleague that wasn't necessarily able to join you this afternoon, please know that we'll be sending out the recording to everyone once it's ready, so that way you can share it with anyone who might be interested, or you can review any of the information we shared this afternoon. I do see a question here. I'll ask you the question, Nicola. Do you ever see OLLI group partners? Do you ever see OLLI groups partner to get enough participants?
Yeah, we do. They're really successful in recruitment, and through collaborative efforts, through all of the things that you chatted about, Michael, which is the virtual meetings, the flyers, the videos, the one-on-one opportunity to. We really take relationships with our clients very seriously, and that means your members are then Nanda family. So helping them, and yes, we have had them recruit, but every organization is different. But if you wanted to work with another OLLI chapter maybe and combine together, if you were a smaller membership, you could maybe reach out to somebody else in the OLLI framework and do a collaborative group, and that's something that could be successful. So I would definitely encourage that. And I just wanted to pop back to Gloria's comment on Cuba. Oh, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, another one of my heart destinations. And Gloria, I'd love to reach out and chat with you a little bit more about that. We are relaunching Cuba here at Nanda Journeys, so I'd actually love to chat with you about your experience there. So we'll reach out. Yeah.
And just in regards to getting in OLLI groups partnering together, doesn't necessarily. So we actually, I noticed that Ken had mentioned he's from Auburn, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
We actually work with Huntsville, Alabama, the OLLI out of Huntsville, Alabama. to help them with their Iceland tour coming up. And I know that Chris, I don't know if anybody here is familiar with, I don't know how tight knit the OLLI community is and if they know all know each other or not, but Chris out of the Huntsville, Alabama OLLI, our Iceland itinerary, I know that he's worked with other OLLIs in the past to kind of get travelers onto his programs and his platforms. So that's definitely something that OLLI programs do. So Lisa's asking, how many OLLIs do you currently work with, and how do you manage revenue sharing? I'll take the first part of that question. Right now, given Nicola and I just kind of starting to delve into this OLLI program workshop, we work with two OLLI programs currently. We're very the one that we have with Iceland with Chris is actually departing later this fall. It's very, very successful with the Huntsville. I think we're over 24, 25 people now. I think Nicola can speak to the numbers directly. But that's kind of where the light bulb went off in regards to the synergies between us. In regards to how many OLLI programs have we worked with in my career, I would say that's 30, 40, 50 OLLI programs that I've worked with personally in my career and helping them to promote. And so when I joined the Nanda team, I kind of looked to Nicola and said, everything you do matches so closely with OLLI's. Have you ever worked with them before? And she's like, oh, what is OSHA Lifelong Learning? I said, well, you pretty much offer a lot of OLLI programs, so this is a perfect one. Another OLLI program in state. We, in fact, share some Zoom courses. There you go, Ken. There you go. So you might know Chris and the team there as well. But yeah, so to answer that question, Lisa, although we only work with two, I have 15, 20 years of experience in working with OLLI programs. So absolutely, although we don't have currently a lot of experience, it's something that I see the synergies, I see the opportunities, and I just want to make sure that the OLLI programs that I've worked with, if I had someone like Nanda Journeys when I wasn't with Nanda Journeys, I would have brought them to Nicola in a heartbeat. So the other part of your question, how do you manage revenue sharing? Nicola, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. Again, that is unique to every group. So every affinity program we work with, we have a conversation about revenue sharing, and we just want to understand your goals. Some people like to put that back into the cost of the program, so it makes it a little bit more affordable for every participant. Other groups want to have a revenue share. So that is a very pliable, malleable kind of conversation that we can have. Again, making sure that the outcomes align with your core goals, whether it be your travel goals, your revenue goals, your experience goals, and your promotional goals. So all of that is an early conversation that we would have with you. So revenue sharing, it depends. What are your goals? What do you hope to do for your particular membership? And we can incorporate that as part of that development of the itinerary, because we don't have fixed pricing. Everything is priced independently based on the time of year, the number of people you expect to travel, the revenue share, whether or not the host will be hosted for free of charge or not. It's your choice to make. And we're just here to help facilitate whatever the best decision is for you.
Yeah. And that's one of the benefits, again, with Nanda Journeys and the work that you do, Nicola, is whatever you're accustomed to receiving is typically what we're able to kind of build in. I know some tour operators offer free travel as low as 7 travelers that join a trip or join an itinerary. And some programs only want the revenue to provide for other programs that they offer. So whatever you're accustomed to receiving is kind of how we manage that as well. So hopefully that answers your question, Lisa. It doesn't look like there are any other questions in the chat. So if there are any additional questions, any thoughts, any concerns, please feel free to reach out to Nicola or myself. Visit our website. I encourage you to see all the amazing things that we're currently doing, all the journeys, the destinations that Nanda currently visits. But also, if you have any questions about any of the topics, information gathered today, I promise you, neither Nicola nor I are the strong sales type. We're not going to strong arm you into traveling with us. If you just are looking for information, please feel free to reach out. You know, given our experience, and especially my experience in the OLLI travel world, I'm happy to help you in any way that I can. Before we head out, Nicola, do you have any final words or questions or any final comments, I should say, for the audience?
I just want to say thank you for being here first and foremost. And I was just so happy that you brought the OSHA Lifelong Learning program to my attention, Michael, because you're right. It's in perfect alignment with what we're hoping to achieve here at Nanda Journeys, which is magnifying learning, magnifying understanding, magnifying relationships through experiential travel opportunities. So I really look forward to engaging with many of you that are on the call today. And we're here as a partner in travel. And as Michael said, we're here as a resource. If you have a question, we're not here to strong arm you. We're just here to be partners and to continue the conversation around how travel can be transformative for everybody. So thanks for being here and welcome to the Nanda family. You are now part of that world. And if you have any questions at all, I would love to follow up with you.
Absolutely. And I'm going to actually have you stick around for one more minute because I did notice that Lisa put a question into the chat that I didn't get to, which was how many trips does Nanda Journeys run per year?
Yeah, and that's where we started our program in 2015, and we were ramping up to have 20 programs ready to go, and then we all know what happened. 2020 happened, and that kind of slowed things right down. But our goal is to travel around 40 programs a year is my goal as a travel company. We're still relatively young, but I've been in executive leadership of some large travel companies in my career, and I am just very excited to be nurturing my little baby along so that I can stay really, really true to what we believe in, which is that authentic experiential travel. But we have a wonderful team that are just passionate in the same way that I am. I wish I could introduce you to everybody. But yeah, we're a small spoke, specialized organization that cares deeply about the world and our travelers. And I welcome you to come and have a chat with me.
Mm-hmm. Small but mighty is like what I like
Small
to
but
say. You don't
mighty,
want to work,
yes.
yeah, you don't want to work with the biggest, you want to work with the best. And that's
Yeah.
exactly who we are. So thank you so much, Nicola. Thank you, Lisa, for your question. Everyone who participated today, anybody who laughed at my jokes, I always thank you for that. Makes me feel better about my sense of humor. But no, thank you all so much. We hope you learned something this afternoon or this morning, depending on where you're joining us. But we hope you learned something. We hope you understand the ability for travel to be transformative for your OLLI groups. If you ever have any questions, again, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. We look forward to seeing you on the next Nanda Journeys webinar on OLLI Travel Insights. But more importantly, we look forward to seeing you on a Nanda journey real soon. Thank you so much. Have a great day and safe travels around the world.
Safe
Bye,
travels,
everyone.
everybody. Thanks.